The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff and management of WWDB TV.
Whether she's walking the red carpet or doing interviews, you'll find her with celebrities and all the latest news. She's here, she's there, she's everywhere, she's always on the go. So sit back, relax, and get ready. This is the Corey Taylor Talks Show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Corey Taylor Talks, live from Las Vegas, the #1 teen talk show. I am beyond excited about my guest today because I absolutely fell in love with her first book, and her second book is so incredible too, and it's coming out very, very soon, and I am just truly honored to have her on. So I have the one and only Rosalyn with me today. So hi, how are you?
I am doing great. Thanks for having me, Corey.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much for being on. Truly, like I said, I am a huge fan. It started with Blood Rose Rebellion, and then now with Lost Crow Conspiracy. I mean, it's incredible. The series is turning out phenomenal, so I'm so excited.
Well, thank you.
And so I had to ask, and for some people who might not know or whatnot, what is your books about, and how did you even get started with writing in the first place?
Okay. Well, the books are about, my short answer is always 19th century Europe with magic. That's the short answer. But the longer version is, it's about a young woman who's born into a society where everybody around her, everybody of her same social class has magic, and she doesn't, but she's able to break spells. And because of that, and because she's trying to find her place in this world where she doesn't quite fit in, she ends up getting involved in the Hungarian Revolution, and things get complicated very quickly.
Yes, it does. And I had to say, I love all the characters, really. I think that's what's so special about this book is you have some incredible characters, and you also have a couple characters that you're like, I can't stand that person, but you give them all a really rich history, and you kind of show where they came from and stuff, and how they end up that way, and like you kind of get it more and more as the book goes on, and even in the second book, and that's why I really liked it. And you have some change of heart with some of them, so I think that's a really cool and unique thing about it.
Thank you. Yeah, I love my characters.
Do you relate to anyone in particular, or do you kind of relate to all of them?
I think I relate to different ones in different ways. There's a little bit of me in Anna, but she's much braver than I was as a teenager. So it's been kind of fun to sort of put her in situations and have her do what I wish I would have been brave enough to do.
I do have to agree with that, because I was like, God, I wish I could be like Anna, but I don't think that would ever happen, because she is a brave woman.
Yes. She's braver than I am, so don't feel bad about that.
No, but she is such a strong and powerful character, and you really get involved with all of them, and you kind of see the emotion with them, and you really feel for her and her situation, because honestly, I think that's what's cool about it is obviously we don't have magic powers, and our family doesn't, and we're not the only ones who don't, but in other ways, I think you can relate to her because she's more of an outsider, and I think everyone in some sort of way feels kind of like an outsider, no matter who you are, what you do. I really feel no one feels exactly right in their place. So I think that's what's kind of cool about her is anyone can relate to her.
Right, and that was really important to me when I was writing that book, is that, you know, Anna starts out feeling like, I have to fit into this world, I have to sort of remake myself so I fit, and it's not until she sort of accepts I'm different and maybe my differences can be my strengths, it's not until she accepts that she really starts to find her people and her place.
Gotcha. And also, I have to ask, how did you even start writing this book? Because it's a very, very different concept than, I would say, almost every book out there. It's very cool, and it's historical fiction, which in itself is unique, and one of the first books I've read like this. So How did you come up with this idea and stuff?
Well, I've always loved historical fantasy. There's a book, Sorcery and Cecilia, that I just love. That's 19th century England with magic. And so I always had that idea kind of in the back of my head. But I lived in Hungary for a little while, and I fell in love with the country and the language and the people. And so when I had this idea to try and do something that's sort of a reverse chosen one. You know, stories like Harry Potter, right, where there's the one person who's fated to save the world. And I kind of was interested in what happens if you're not that person, or you don't think you're that person. So I had that idea, and I was sort of searching for where do I put this and when do I put this. And I've always loved the 19th century, so setting it in the 19th century is kind of a given. And then I thought, well, it'd be interesting to see how would this play out in Hungary, because it's a place that I know and love, but it's not one that we see a lot in books.
Right, and you know, my family is a lot of my family's from Hungary too, and I personally don't even know that much about it. So it's kind of cool to read about it and get a little more of their history. And of course, there's parts that obviously didn't happen, but it was cool. And like
Right.
you explained how a beautiful country it was. I think that was really awesome.
I'm glad that comes through. I really do love it, and I felt like the setting was an important part of the story.
Absolutely, it's very unique, and like you said, like you always hear about England and like even though England's in there and stuff, most of it is based in Hungary, and it was very cool and unique. So that's very awesome.
Thank you.
And so I also read a little bit about you. So how? Oh, I'm sorry. So your husband's also a chemistry professor as well, correct?
Yes.
That's really awesome. So you guys are both brainiacs, I suppose.
Oh, only in some things.
No, that's awesome. And I just have to say, I think it's so cool that you did this. And this is your first book you did as well, correct?
Yes. Yes.
So that's a pretty big step for someone. How did you even go about publishing and everything like that? Because I think there's a lot of people out there that are always like, God, I wish I could be an author. I wish I could write a book. But for you to actually take that step and do it and have it be a really big success, how did you even get into that?
Oh gosh, that's kind of a long answer to that. So I've been writing stories or telling stories as long as I can remember. I think I was 11 when I was like, I'm going to write a book. But if you told me when I was 11 how long it would take to actually get there, I'm not sure I would have done it. I mean, the first thing, obviously, is you have to write it. I think I had a teacher once that said something like 90% of people who start books don't finish them. So if you finish your book, you're already ahead of most people that want to write them. And then once you have a book, I think it's important to get other people to read it, because no matter how vivid something is in our head, we don't always know if it's translating until somebody else can give us feedback. And then if you want to publish it like I did with a big traditional publisher, you have to find an agent. And I'm guessing it's probably a little bit similar. You have your manager, and that is basically you send out emails to people who represent books and say, hey, here's my book. Are you interested in this? And hope that somebody says yes. And then they take the book to the publishers and send it to a bunch of editors until, if you're lucky, somebody says yes, we want to publish this.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. It worked out perfectly for you. I mean, as it should, because like I said, the Blood Rose Rebellion is such a powerful book, and honestly, when I read it was a series, I was really excited, but also, unfortunately, some series, the more and more they go on, the more and more you're like, eh. But honestly, The Lost Crow Conspiracy, I think, is even better than the first one, and that's a very rare thing in itself, and it was really exciting. So, I mean, how do you keep up to that, and how do you keep creating new ideas? Because I'm sure it's hard.
Yeah, well, I'm really glad to hear you say that, because the second book was hard to write. One of the things they tell you, but I didn't really believe, is that the second book can be really hard to write. By the way, this is not my second book that I've written. I wrote several books before this one. But this was my first time writing something that was already under contract with a publisher, and I had deadlines, and that made it kind of tricky. And it took a little while to find the heart of the story. I think part of the trick is just you write the stuff that you love as a reader, and hopefully other readers will love that too.
Oh, well, they did, trust me, because I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, this is even better. I was like, I can't even, and I can't wait. It's going to be a trilogy, correct?
Right. Yeah, I'm currently in edits for the third book.
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited to hear that, because I mean, truly, honestly, I want to tell a little bit how I even found this book. So, I work with a few people, and one of my best friends came in with Blood Rose Rebellion, and I was like, oh, that looks like a really cool book. And she was like, I know. She's like, I know you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but I saw the cover, and I was like, I had to get this. She's like, before I even read it, what it was about. And then so we look at it and we see what it's about. We're like, oh my gosh, this sounds awesome. So because of that, we actually kind of started our own little book club, if you believe it or not. And we started reading it. And you're really the one who got us into it. And honestly, I know this is really bad and I probably shouldn't say this, but I don't read often. And your book really got me involved in wanting to read more. And because I was like, this is really, really awesome. And what a cool and unique concept. And then when I was lucky enough to get a copy of the second book, I was like, you guys can't read it, and I'm going to read it. And they were so jealous, but I couldn't stop. I finished it in a few hours. I mean, it was truly just phenomenal.
Oh, goodness. You know, that's the kind of thing that every author dreams about hearing, so thank you.
Oh, absolutely. And, I mean, there's a whole group of us, and we were talking about it, and even other people were like, that sounds like a really good book, and it's really interesting. And we got tons of people hooked on it because it's really, really cool.
That's so funny. Thank you. I'm still, because this is my first book, it's still weird to think that real people are reading this book and, like, not, you know, my mom and the people who have to read it and like it.
Oh, yeah, well, trust me, I really hope even more people will find out about it because it's so unique and it's something different, and it's a lot to it like really takes you into a whole nother world, and I think that's what's cool about it. And I think that's some of the best parts about reading is it's like a whole escape.
Mhm. Yeah, my favorite books are books that take me somewhere different, that take me out of my life and let me see a different place or somebody who lives a different life to mine. Yeah, it's kind of addictive.
Oh, definitely. I mean, the whole thing, we were just really excited, and I think we're having a caller, so I'm trying to get in. Give me 1 second. I just found out.
No problem.
Give me 1 moment. All right, so caller, you are live with Corey Taylor Talks. Who are we talking to?
Hi, my name is Nikki, and I'm actually, Corey, I hate to say this, but you're a publicist, as you know.
Oh.
I just wanted to say something to Rosalyn if she can listen, if she can hear me. Can she actually hear me right now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Perfect. Yes, you can.
I just wanted to tell you that Corey got a hold of me one day and said, you have to get this author on my show. The book is amazing. Oh, my God, she got me started reading again, blah, blah, blah. And she was so crazy and excited to get you. And I had to track down your publicist who said, okay, give you a couple of months because the second book was coming out. And she was, when she got a copy, she was just ecstatic. Like, I mean, she took that book and ran with it and came back and said, oh my God, you absolutely have to get her on my show. I love her, best book series ever. So I just had to share that with you because truly, like Corey said, unfortunately, she's a very busy young lady and she really doesn't get to read that much. And honestly, she does a lot of films and stuff, so she just doesn't, you know, she's so preoccupied with that. So to get her to sit down and really be interested in any kind of book thing that really captivates her and interests her is very tough, and I've never seen her ever act like that before. And when I was walking to an event with her and her friends were there, they had all argued about this book because she was like, I have it, but I can't let anybody read it but me, and they were like ready to kill her with it. So they cannot wait till your book comes out, and I just really had to share that with you because it truly is an amazing, you know, book series. I haven't read it, but from what she has told me, and they are so excited. And you know, it's a whole, you know, it's not just younger people. it's younger and middle-aged, and it's, and it's that thing, and it captivates all of them. So I just really wanted to share that with you, because a lot of people don't know what goes on behind the scenes, and for her to get, she has a lot of people that are trying to get on her show and get interviewed and stuff, and so she doesn't really have to try and track down a lot of people. And she was so adamant about getting you on the show because she truly just adored your book. So I just had to tell you that, and I hope you keep on writing, because you're doing something definitely right.
Thank you so much. Gosh, you guys are going to make me cry on air here.
Oh, no, honestly, everything she said is completely true. I mean, really, we were all just ecstatic about it. And my friends, literally, I was 19 when I started reading. My friend's 29, and then my other friend's 22. And then we got people who were, like, literally in their 40s and 50s onto this book. And, I mean, so it is for all ages. And, yes, it's based on a teen's life, but, I mean, really anybody can relate to it.
Well, thank you. That's always your hope when you write it, that this weird little thing that starts in your head will actually mean something to somebody.
Oh, and it does. And I do have to ask you this, too, because me and my friends have argued a lot about the different characters and stuff.
Okay.
But if you could cast, like, if they were going to make a movie out of this book series, and you could cast your dream actors and stuff, just because we were arguing about who everyone looked like and what we pictured them like, if you had to cast some of the main characters, who would you cast them as? Because we were fighting about this a lot.
Well, I would love to hear some of your ideas. So I've thought about this before. It's kind of hard with Gabor, because I would love to cast somebody who is actually Romani.
Right.
But I don't. There aren't a lot of actors that I'm aware of. For Matjash, I've always pictured him as a young Ian McGregor.
Okay.
So I'm not sure how you would cast that, because he's way too old for the part right now. But in my head, he kind of looks like that. And Anna, there is a Hungarian actress named Barbara Palvin. You'd have to look her up. But that's kind of how I picture Anna.
Oh, okay. Very cool. Yeah, we were...
I would love to know what your ideas are, though.
Me, I don't know. See, that was kind of tough. I was like, I think for Anna, see, that's a lot of the problem, too. I think she's young, and there's not a lot of young actors I was picturing as her. I mean, I think everyone wants themselves to see themselves in it, but I was picturing more like brunette, younger, sort of Jennifer Lawrence type and stuff. I don't know. We were really going back and forth with everything, and we that was a lot of our discussions was, what do you picture them looking like, and how would you think that? And people disagreed with me, and they're like, I don't picture her like Jennifer Lawrence at all. So I don't know. That's why I think it's very interesting to hear from the author.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was her name? Because I had to look her up now.
Barbara Palvin. And it might just be because I was looking for Hungarian models when I was working on the story. Yeah, Jennifer Lawrence would be awesome.
Oh, actually, I know exactly who you're talking about. Yes, I'm looking her up as we speak. That's exactly kind of more exactly. That's how I pictured her for sure. So I'm happy and I won. Because that's what I was saying. But no, I mean, really, it's just phenomenal. And it got us talking so much. And we were talking more about the binding and, like, how we actually pictured it. Because that's a bigger concept to grasp. But I think you did really nail it. And you did explain it well. Because I think that also shows really how talented you are. Because it was a lot. And it was a lot to take in. Because everything was completely new and a lot of it was made up, and so to grasp that and really understand it, and we all did agree with that, I think that really shows how well you wrote, because that's kudos to you. That's a really, really tough thing to do. I couldn't even imagine how to begin explaining all that.
Well, you have my editor to thank for a lot of that, because when the first draft that she read, she gave me all these comments, and a lot of them were like, I don't understand the magic here. You need to make this clearer. So part of that was me, but a lot of it was my editor.
Well, then you were a great team because it worked out perfectly. Oh, and I have to ask the artwork. My friend said too. Like we all agree. I know you're never supposed to judge a book by its cover. Like literally the oldest saying in the book. But the covers and the artwork is phenomenal. And
It really is.
were you involved with that process or anything? Because they are just absolutely stunning, both of them.
I wish that I could say that I was. I think the cover that I initially pictured was very different from this. For a long time, YA fantasy had, the girls in pretty dresses on the cover, and I think in my head there was something like that. But when I saw this, I was just blown away by it. So the designer is a guy named Agent Bob, who did the roses coming out of stone and then the crow breaking out too. And I'm really excited to see what they do with the third cover. I haven't seen it yet, so I'm excited to see what they do.
Oh, definitely, because they are beautiful, and the covers are important as much as you'd like to say no. They are important because it makes people want to pay attention to it, and it's the first thing that captures someone's eyes. And I think it really brought everything together, and they're both beautiful covers. I thought it was a really, really cool concept.
Yeah, I really like kind of how symbolic it is, this idea, because one of the things that was really important to me is we see lots of heroines, well, like Katniss, right? That they're girls, but they're really tough. And I wanted a story that had a girl as the main character who was strong, but not like your traditionally tough hero. Like
Exactly.
She can't really fight. So I think that idea of the rose, something that can be fragile, breaking out of stone, is really, gets to kind of what's at the heart of the story.
Oh, absolutely. That's why I really think I related to Anna, and I think a lot of people did, was because exactly she's not like this super tough, like incredible fighter. I mean, she doesn't have powers besides breaking them.
Right.
So I think that was so cool about her because she was more relatable. And yes, she is extremely brave, like I said before, and I don't think I could do half of the stuff she did. But she was more relatable, and it was kind of empowering almost in a way because you're like, well, she could do that. Maybe I could do that. And so I think that was a really cool thing because she was more normal, and she was raised very elegant in this lavish lifestyle. So I thought that was really cool.
I think a lot of us underestimate ourselves because we're told that there's like one idea of what strong looks like, and that's really not true. There's a lot of different ways to be strong.
Oh, definitely, and I think you showed that.
Yeah, well, thank you, because that was one of the things I was trying to do.
Well, like I said, you definitely succeeded, and first of all, I have to say, too, my mother and stuff, since I was little, was obsessed with crows and everything, so I thought that was really cool with Midas.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that it's called The Lost Crow Conspiracy, and the cover is so cool. I thought that was awesome, because crows have a bad rep themselves, so that was cool in itself that you even chose a crow.
Well, there's a couple reasons for it. So crows are super smart. I was reading this book about crows, and this lady had been mistreating one of the crows. And not just that crow, but all the other crows recognized her. Like, these birds sometimes have facial recognition. They're really smart. But they also, there was a Hungarian king, Mátyás, King Matthias, and he was called the Raven King. That was sort of like his symbol. And since I named Mátyás after him, I thought it was appropriate to have a crow, because ravens are sort of regal and elegant,
Yes.
and Mátyás isn't. So he gets the raven's sort of lesser cousin.
Oh, no, I loved it, and they are brilliant animals, and I really think it went very well with the whole concept of it. So I love that idea. When I read the crow, I was like, that's so rare, and that's cool. I mean, you use a lot of rare things, like we said, hungry, the crows. I mean, really, it's really cool how you brought all this different attention to stuff.
Well, thank you.
And so I want to talk about Lost Crow Conspiracy, because that is coming out very, very soon, correct?
Yes.
And what is the release date for that?
The release date is the 27th. Sorry, last year the first book came out on the 28th, and so I had to think for just a second. Yeah, the 27th, so exactly 3 weeks.
Oh, I'm so excited. And can you tell people a little bit about it, what they can expect? Lots of twists and turns. What can people expect from it?
Yeah, so the second book obviously picks up at the end of the first book where there's been a massive change to the world and to the way the magic works in the world. And Anna thinks that she has achieved all of these things, and then one by one they get taken away from her. So it's her grappling with the aftermath of this huge thing that she's done, trying still to find her place in this new world. There's a second point of view in this book that was a lot of fun to write. And so you get obviously the conspiracy, some court intrigue, lots of balls and magic and monsters, and even some highwaymen.
Yeah, I mean, it just sounds, I'm so excited. I've been telling my friends, I was like, I cannot wait till you can finally read this because it is just amazing. And they are all on the edge of their seats. And I mean, I really, big congratulations to you because I truly, it was better than the first one, which is so rare. And I love the first one. So I really cannot wait for everyone else to read the second, and then I cannot personally wait to read the third and the fact that you're editing it and everything, I am so excited.
Well, I'll have to talk to my publicist. Maybe we can send you an early copy of the third one too.
Oh, I would be honored. I would be honored. Do you have any type of time frame when the third one will be coming out?
They've been trying to do them a year apart, so it should come out next March if everything goes according to plan.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, I'm sure everyone's just going to die for it, especially after reading the second one, because I'm like, I need it yesterday. So.
Well, I hope so.
Oh, definitely. And I do know you have to go soon, so I wanted to ask you a couple quick more questions and then go over everything again where people can find both books and stuff. But let's ask a couple quick more just fun questions just to get a little bit more about yourself. So the first one I have to ask, I think it's pretty obvious, is your favorite author?
Oh my gosh. Asking me my favorite author is a little bit like asking me who my favorite child is.
Or your favorite child.
I have a couple, if that's okay. I really like, well, Jane Austen. Maybe that's obvious because of the 19th century stuff. I like there's a sci-fi fantasy author, Lewis McMaster's Bujold, and everything that she's written is brilliant. One of the books I read last year that was amazing was The Hate You Give, and they're making it into a movie, but that was the author's first book, and I couldn't believe it. It was so powerful.
Oh, awesome.
Those are a couple.
Awesome. Well, those are some couple great ones. And your favorite book?
Oh, goodness.
I know, I'm asking tough ones.
I don't, the books depend so much on my mood. I will say that when I'm sick or not feeling well, my sort of go-to comfort read, I read a lot of Georgette Heyer, who wrote these 19th century romance novels. But otherwise, it really depends on my mood. I did just read An Enchantment of Ravens not very long ago that was just super charming, about a girl and who makes art for fairies. Oh, wow. And not, the little fairies with wings in the Disney movies, but the tall, handsome, dangerous ones.
Oh, wow.
And I like that one a lot.
That's awesome. That sounds really cool. And then, okay, if you could have a fantasy dinner party and you could invite 3 people, who would you invite?
Oh, goodness. You are asking really hard questions. And now I am blanking. I would probably want to invite one of the authors that I just mentioned, Lois Bujold, just because she's kind of brilliant, and I would love to get a look into the way her mind works. Probably also Neil Gaiman, because I heard him speak a little while ago. He's a fantasy author, and he just has such interesting ideas. So mostly, I would love to have people that are just interesting, that know a lot, that have lots of ideas. Let's see, who else? gosh, you asked that question, and all of a sudden I'm like completely blanking on everybody I've ever heard of. I think Maggie Smith would be fun to have too. She's the one that played Professor McGonagall in the Harry Potter movies.
Yes, yeah, she's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, those are great 3 answers. I mean, I've asked that question to a lot of people. I've never gotten any of those 3 people, so I think that's really cool, and it speaks a lot about you.
Or maybe it just says that my mind went completely and utterly blank.
Well, no, and I think that's really cool. And you seem like such an amazing woman. And like I said, truly, I love your books. And and everyone else I know that I shared the first book with absolutely loves it too. So I mean, I really, really hope the second book does even better than the first, and I really hope everything goes phenomenal. And I cannot wait till the 3rd one. And if you ever have any other series or books or anything you ever are planning on, I would love to help you promote it and everything, because you are phenomenal, and I love all your writing.
Oh, that is so sweet of you. Thank you so much. You were asking earlier about where people could find them.
Yes.
They're pretty much any bookstore should have them. Barnes & Noble carries them. They're on Amazon and most independent bookstores, especially if you get them online. And actually, right now, Amazon is running, it's one of Amazon's monthly deals. So if you have a Kindle, it's only $1.99 right now for the first one.
Oh, wow. I think that would be perfect, too. For if you haven't read the first one, I mean, what a steal. I mean, truly, that is an amazing deal. So they can read that one and then get ready for the Last Crow Conspiracy, because it is phenomenal.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much for being on, truly, and I really hope everyone that's listening goes and checks out both of the books, and you are going to fall in love with the series like I have, and like I said, I cannot wait till the 3rd one too. So, second one hasn't even come out yet, and I can't wait till the 3rd one. So, it was truly an honor having you on, Rosalyn.
Thank you so much, Corey. I really appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you so much, and I hope you have an amazing day and have an amazing book launch, and I really hope everything works out well for you, because it's incredible and you completely deserve it.
Thank you, and I wish the same for you.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, have a great day, and hopefully I will talk to you later.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Well, once again, that was Rosalyn E.'s incredible book. Check out Red Rose Rebellion. Like she said, it's $1.99 on Kindle, which sounds like a total steal and almost an insult, honestly, because it is such an amazing book, and I really think everyone will fall in love with it. And then also Last Crow Conspiracy, coming out March 27th. So get ready for it, because I love the book. I know you'll love the books. So please go check out her website, everything she has coming up, and follow her. She has a blog, she has everything, so you can keep up to date with all of it. So thank you guys so much for watching, and remember, never give up, always believe, and you'll achieve. Thank you, and God bless.